Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I want to speak to you today about a question I get often, and I was hoping and thinking I was going to stop getting this question, but here it is. I'm frequently written with this question about Ezekiel Bread. Now, this is a sprouted bread, and it's produced by a company called Food for Life, and they have a lot of different products, both gluten-containing and gluten-free. On their website, they say that their gluten-free products are in a different room on a different conveyor belt, etc. So they do seem to make every effort to prevent cross-contamination. Now, going back several years, probably around 2009, 2007 to 9 in there, the labeling on their bread was confusing as far as the gluten content. And so what came about was they are made from organic sprouted grains, and the sprouting process is one that can facilitate easier digestion of grains. And that somehow got skewed into the fact that because the bread was sprouted, that it was okay for those who were avoiding gluten because it was pre-digested somehow, and et cetera, et cetera. It is not, of course, and but that rumor started, and as they say, if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. I think that's what's occurred here. But if we stand back, and we don't listen, but we look, if you picked up the bread loaf, you would see the first ingredient is organic sprouted wheat. So forget the organic and forget the sprouted wheat. The second ingredient is organic sprouted barley. So the first two ingredients are wheat and barley, and I think I really don't need to go any further about that being a problem when you're trying to avoid gluten. And the word gluten is even on the label. Wheat gluten, organic wheat gluten, is toward the end of the ingredient list. So obviously this is not a product in any way, shape, or form that would be appropriate for someone who had celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. Yet again and again, I am asked this question. So I do think it is a look, don't listen type of moment that we can learn from, because goodness knows when you're avoiding gluten, you're always looking for the next best thing to eat that's yummy and delicious and maybe you haven't heard of before. But if a friend tells you, it's kind of like your mother, if your friend jumped off the bridge, would you, but seriously, we are so excited about new food products that sometimes we do jump off that bridge before we find out how high up we are. So once again, if your friend or whoever hadn't said anything and you just picked up a loaf of bread and the first ingredient was wheat and the second ingredient was barley, you'd put it down, right? But somehow there's been just enough propagation of this, this lie that these breads are okay, which of course they are not. So the moral of the story is to really read those labels and don't listen to anybody's opinion, but just read the label and then you know for yourself. And do know that because something is sprouted, while it might facilitate digestion, it doesn't digest the gluten. The gluten is still intact enough to cause you trouble and plenty of it. And it used to say on the website that people with a mild gluten sensitivity might be okay with these breads, and that is something I've spoken to before. But I looked just now on their website and it doesn't say that anymore. And this is a great company. I think they realize the error of their ways on that. This company has more gluten-free breads than they have gluten-containing breads. So, and some of my favorite breads are there. So it's the Food for Life product line. They have a lot of gluten-free breads that are proudly on the label gluten-free, and there's certainly no more distractions or questions on their Ezekiel Bread label. They very clearly say the ingredients, and that should be enough. But As I said, I think it's just a good lesson in really looking and not listening to anybody's opinion, but just sort of learning for yourself. And once again, just because a grain is sprouted, if it's a gluten-containing grain, it's still not okay for you. So I hope that was helpful. Please spread the word about this because unfortunately there's still a lot of information on the internet that's incorrect, and I think that's how it spread. So send me your questions and your comments. I do love to hear from you, and until next time, I wish you very good health.